All right, y'all. Today we're looking at this boudoir photography business, and for its local searches, city searches, we're going to see if it has BSS. Then we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. Our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that pinned video, pinned post, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph in white down here. Highest intent people on the left is people using social search, Google search, searching for a boudoir photographer in their or boudoir photo shoot in their city right now. And as a result, they're we talk about them, BSS videos here. Over on the right, we got the lowest intent peeps. Talk about dealing with these or reaching these peeps on our sister channel, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And over there, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. Now, boudoir search sameness is BSS. That means a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots, page 1 on Google. 0 slots, page 1, we cannot have that. We're dying a fast death here because that means we're on page 2 or deeper. The reason that matters is we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. That's right, they're one and done only. They're page 1 and done only searches. So for our page 2 or deeper, we're visible to approximately 80% of the market, so the bulk of the market. 1 slot on page 1 is also not good enough. Everyone on page 1's got 1 slot. So, it's us and most likely 9 other boudoir photographers. We're looking the same, we're not standing out. So what a boudoir photographer is doing is they're actually clicking, everyone's link, open up everyone's website, every contact form, every whatever submission form, getting a quote, comparing prices, waiting, negotiating. Why should they buy now? Trying to get the most for the least. It's wasting everyone's time. And most of these contact forms fill out don't even convert anyway. So just waste, waste, waste. So business dies slowly in this case, only having 1 slot, page 1 Google search. And 0, 1 slots, page 1 Google is actually not normal. It's actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. That's common. It's accepted to have 0, 1 slots, page 1 Google search, but it's not normal. Now, these 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. Market saturation, yeah, basically everyone knows about this one. More peeps joining. Basically, peeps kind of naturally upgrade their gear over time. New iPhone, new camera. And as they get new gear, they're actually throwing up their Google My Business profile saying they shoot boudoir, throwing up their website saying they're a boudoir photographer. They are, increasing basically the amount of times they post in the mom groups on Facebook saying they offer boudoir photo shoots. So all this is more sellers, more boudoir photographers for the same number of buyers. Makes it harder for every other boudoir photographer in the market. It's market saturation. Then we got false belief, page 1 equality. Yeah, very few peeps know about this one. This is kind of like boudoir photographers naturally assumed that, they basically naturally assumed that each boudoir photographer gets, kind of just gets 0, 1 slots, page 1 on Google, and that's how it is. Maybe they had their page 1 slot 7. That's how market saturation happened. Now they're, page 2 slot 2. I'm like, oh well, that's simply what it is. Hopefully those people delete their websites so Google can bring us back up onto page 1. But no, this is the 100% incorrect mindset to have. This kind of a wait and see mindset. 100% wrong. What's actually true is Google will give us as many page 1 slots on Google search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords as we want, or as we put in the effort to acquire. AKA, we actually show Google we want. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search in only 10 days. This new methodology we developed. So I know for a fact the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. We also know that boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. And remember BSS, 0, 1 slots, page 1 Google search for page 2 or deeper. I mean, we're dying a fast death. We're disappearing there for page 1, 1 slot. We're dying a slow death. Both cases, we're disappearing boudoir photographer. And what actually happens is this kind of warning light, the warning flag, the check engine light, the canary in the coal mine that's telling us, hey, our boudoir photography business itself is now on the path to disappearing. But thankfully, we now have a solution. we've actually discovered that BSS, Boudoir search sameness, 0, 1 slots, page 1 Google search, is treated with social search saturation, aka SQ's methodology. And it works exactly like it says, social search saturation. We saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, so we show up there. And when we do this, it's kind of like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains down there in South America, the eastern side, the back side of those mountains, where what happens is that snow melts, water drains into small streams, small rivers, and eventually it all flows, gets collected in the large Amazon River. Now, that is, large Amazon River is page 1 Google search. That's exactly what it is. And we actually, so it all starts with the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains, because that all starts with the inputs. That's key methodology. We gotta get the snow up there first for it to then melt and actually, flow into the large Amazon River. Now, SQ methodology, it's the only solution I've seen that actually allows boudoir photographers to have a chance to still grow their business in the presence of massive market saturation. And in a relatively quick, give them that opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. And the largest, kind of the only other solution I've seen that gives that same benefit, but not in a relatively quick time frame, is actually having a large, well-known brand. But again, dude, that takes like 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years, dude. AI's here, taking people's jobs. We don't have 5 to 10 years to build a brand. What's interesting is SQ methodology, with my estimates, actually enables the boudoir photographer to build a large, well-known brand approximately 8x faster than standard methods, because we're seeing across so many different surfaces with much higher volume, much higher frequency, reaching much more of the highest intent people. And as a result, my estimate is, building that brand 8x faster to make market saturation matter even less. All right, so now an example. We are now going to, this will be a good one. We're now going to Bend, Oregon. And there's 1 million boudoir photographers there. And we are one of them. Everyone's got their websites and they offer boudoir photography. So it means page 1 Google search, ultra competitive with 1 million websites trying to rank there. And so we're like, all right, we ain't got no brand. We ain't got no time to create a brand. And so the only chance of us competing here is we actually got to be the first ones in our city to utilize S-Cube methodology. And as a result, let's say we crank it up to the max, like kind of way above anything the average boudoir photographer would do with S-Cube methodology. And let's say we're taking up the first 300 slots for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords across all of social search. And let's say that flows then onto Google. We're taking the first 300 slots on Google for this highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. And it's 10 organic slots per page Google search. So dude, we're taking up like the first 30 pages. So guess what? If a boudoir buyer is searching for basically if a boudoir buyer is searching for a, boudoir photo shoot in their city, and as a result, they're looking on different, social media searches and Google searches, we're basically the only one they can find. We're taking basically the first 300 slots everywhere. So they can't really find any competing boudoir photographers. So they basically hit slot 301. That's page 31 on Google. I already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. So dude, who the heck's hitting page 31? Basically no one. So if we're essentially the only person they can find, the only boudoir photographer they can find, whose business is still growing in this market? Most likely ours. Whose business is dying, vanishing, going away, becoming invisible in this market? Most likely the other 999,999 other boudoir photographers. And so this is an example of what S-Cube methodology could enable for a boudoir photography business in an ultra saturated market. Now, once you're with S-Cube methodology, we now have page 1 visibility, P1V. Initial benefits, we're getting more slots to page 1 Google search, but interestingly, every new slot we get page 1 Google search, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. Basically get to choose how many of our competitors go to page 2 and deeper, which means they're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. So a lot of boudoir photographers actually really like this initial benefit. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. And this is where the GBC universe recommends having, hitting the 3 out of 10 minimum for page one Google search. So hitting a minimum of 3 out of 10 slots. Because when we have that, basically every other boudoir photographer on page one will have 1 slot, but we'll have 3, so we'll be dominating them. In the ultra rare case, someone else has 2 slots. Well, again, we got 3 slots, so we're still ultra dominating. We're still dominating them. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So we got a disappearing boudoir. This is our micro universe here. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, which is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, we have discovered a solution, S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become visible boudoir photographers with boudoir search visibility. All right, now it's my results here. I'm going to dominate Google page one for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So what I did was started using S-cubed methodology, and let's see the results. So slot 1, organic slot 1 Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So literally going from 0 out of 10 slots, page one Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one Google search in only 10 days, exclusively using S-cubed methodology. Now, onto the main event here. We're going to see if this boudoir photography business, see if it's got BSS for its local or its city search, see if it's hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page one slots on Google. So let's get into it. So we're going to Germantown, Tennessee, and Memphis, Tennessee. All right, so what we got here. We're in Germantown, Tennessee. All right, let's see what we got. All right, we got 1. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 for local search. Let's go to city. City is always harder to rank for. It's more people competing. Oh, nice. We got organic slot 1. That's great. So we got 1 out of 10. All right, so we got 1 out of 10 here. So we got 1 out of 10 for local. We got 1 out of 10 for Memphis. So yeah, we got BSS for both, and we are hitting the GBC universe recommended minimum. That's 3 out of 10. Neither of those searches. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, you got BS boudoir search sameness. So you're at 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google for local search and city search, or even you haven't reached a 3 out of 10 GBC minimum, recommended minimum, and you now understand page one equality was a false belief. You're like, oh yeah, now that I think about it, actually it doesn't make sense. We can have as many slots on page one as we want, as we'll put in the effort for. And you understand market saturation. People buy new iPhones, become boudoir photographers, new cameras become new boudoir photographers. But now there's a special third option, which is AI taking more and more people's job every single day, which means there's going to be more and more people entering the market, no job, becoming boudoir photographers because they already got the iPhone as a camera. Throwing up their website, throwing up their Google My Business profile, posting in the mom groups, and actually, potentially pushing us off page one. So you're going to see that more and more. And you're seeing S-cubed methodology is the only thing out there that we can see that actually effectively renders market saturation not a non-issue if we successfully use S-cubed methodology. And you want to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 organic page one slots on Google, because that's a result of saturating social search on all the search platforms already. That's simply the outcome. You want boudoir search visibility. And you also understand kind of the back-end bonuses of using S-cubed methodology, which is kind of the more thematic theme keyword columns we attach to our brand, kind of our usernames across social. The increased probability A, we show up here in AI search overview or AI overview, because we're getting these thematic keyword columns all built around us. And AI knows it because of it's pulling everything from social search, from Google. And so you want that higher chance of being here in the AI overview, kind of like the first main recommendation. It's kind of a bonus of using S-cubed methodology. And then the second bonus is you actually want you actually want the higher chance of showing up recommended for AI search, ChatGPT search, Claude search, and Perplexity search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search, people using AI search, which I haven't done a Google search, actually click and read a link in like a year. It's been all AI search. I'll use the Google AI mode feature. And so you're seeing all that. You want to achieve all that with S-cubed methodology. And you also know you want to be a first mover with this in your city, because you know that the more momentum, kind of the earlier you start, A, you'll give me exclusive leads for the city. B, kind of the thematic keyword columns that we'd start creating, these have momentum. It's not like ads where you just stop spending and they vanish. You lose your one slot Google, your Google keyword slot. Who cares about that if we can hit 6, 7, 8 out of 10 page one Google slots for the highest intent keywords? But we're actually building momentum in the background, because what we do to saturate social is kind of our strategy persists. It still exists even when no ad spend's being put behind it. So we're kind of building these thematic keyword columns in the background, higher chance we get recommended AI search. And you want to build these columns, kind of invisible thematic keyword columns, before all your competitors start to do it, because that will entrench you page one on Google, and maybe also bleed over into page two domination on Google and all search, all social platforms, and kind of prevent any new boudoir photographers coming into the market from ever ranking on page one, and also prevent them from ever catching up to all these thematic keyword columns you have attached to you that cause you to be recommended in AI search. And you also recognize if someone else starts using SQ methodology with me first, you would then have to figure out how to recreate our proprietary methodology, and then you'd have to equal our output doing it correctly to even keep pace with us and our competitor we're working with, and your competitor we're working with, and then you'd actually have to outwork us to overtake our momentum. We've already been building up invisible momentum with your competitor. So if you want all those outcomes, then shoot me a DM when the hospital opens for new patient intake. So hospital's closed right now, not taking any patients. No matter what you do, know you can work with me. I will open new patient intake when I want to open new patient intake. And so if you want all these benefits, SQ methodology is the solution for you. Shoot us a DM when we do open for new patient intake, and we will see. I'll ask you some questions. We will see if you qualify.